Yo, what's going on guys, Z-Karma here, and welcome back to another boring math video here in Borderlands 3. Today, I wanted to talk about a few of Amara's skills that were affected by the most recent patch, the more important of these being Ties-That Bind. In the recent patch, Gearbox stated that the damage source has been changed for Remnant, Indiscriminate, and Ties-That Bind to address that they are double dipping and scale inappropriately at the higher mayhem levels. And they also said that as a result, players will notice that Ties-That Bind will no longer scale properly with action skill damage increases. So by reading this, I, just like many of you, think that Indiscriminate, Remnant, and Ties-That Bind will no longer double dip into certain skills and anointments. Additionally, they will also not get increased damage when you increase it with certain skills or bonuses. For example, you have Do Harm, which will increase your action skill damage, and in class mods we also have action skill damage increased, so none of these things will actually increase the damage dealt by these skills. However, it looks like they are working on allowing Ties-That Bind to receive these bonuses, hence the temporary fix statement. So what I want to do in this video is show you exactly how all of these things are currently working, because it is not very clear. So before I get into this breakdown, if you guys found this informative or helpful in any way, a like rating is appreciated, and if you want to subscribe for more content like this, that'll be awesome as well. So the first thing that I want to cover is the action skill damage from your class mod or the action skill damage from Do Harm will no longer increase the damage dealt by Remnant, Indiscriminate, and Ties-That Bind. So really quickly, let's start off with the class mod increase. As you can see, this class mod will give me a 36% increase to action skill damage. So let's test it on Indiscriminate. If you guys don't know how Indiscriminate works, every time I shoot an enemy, there's a chance for the bullet to ricochet, and the ricochet bullet will do half of the damage. And that damage is considered action skill damage. So let's go ahead and shoot an enemy, wait for a ricochet shot, and as you can see, our initial shot did 17 damage and the ricochet shot did 9. So as you can see, our bullets are doing 50% damage. So now we are going to be equipping this class mod, which should give me a 36% bonus to my action skill damage, but like I said with the recent patch, this should not affect Indiscriminate. I do want to point out that I do have a point into Infusion thanks to this class mod, and Infusion is going to convert a portion of my damage to elemental damage, and Indiscriminate will not take that converted damage into account, so just keep that in mind. So now if I shoot this enemy and wait for the ricochet shots, there we go. Remember, we ignore the damage that is converted by Infusion, and we just look at this number. 16 goes to 8, that is a 50%. Of the damage dealt initially, done by the ricochet shot, it is 8, and that is exactly what Indiscriminate is giving us, so that means that without a doubt, this action skill damage increase in our class mod is not affecting Indiscriminate. And just so you know, I also tested it on Ties-That Bind and Remnant, and it does not affect either. And now let's cover Do Harm. Just like the increase from our class mod, Do Harm gives us increase to our action skill damage based on the number of rush stacks. And what I'm going to show you now is that this will also not affect these skills. And for this test, we're going to be using Ties-That Bind. So first off, I'm going to use Ties-That Bind without any Do Harm stacks and show you the damage that is being shared by it, which is the action skill damage. And as you can see, we're going from 20 to 17 without any Do Harm stacks. This time around, we are going to be using Do Harm stacks, so as you can see, I have currently 6 rush stacks down there at the bottom of my screen, so we're going to turn them into Do Harm stacks. There we go, 6 Do Harm stacks. If we use this, we shoot, we go from 20 to 17. If Do Harm was actually affecting Ties-That Bind, this number would be higher, and it's not, it stayed at 17, so that means that again, Do Harm and the increase from class mods is not affecting Indiscriminate, Ties-That Bind, or Remnant. In case you guys didn't know, before this update, it was helping them. And these changes were done so that these skills no longer double dip and also not be as OP. However, I find that kind of interesting because, as you all know, with the recent patch, action skill damage has been scaled according to the mayhem level you are playing. But there was no mention about Ties Bind or any of these skills receiving that bonus, but they did. At Mayhem 10, Ties Bind, Indiscriminate, and Remnant are now doing 600% increased damage, or 7 times the damage, which is basically the same thing. So I switched to Mayhem 10 to show you that we're getting 600% increased damage because these are all now scaling according to the Mayhem level, which I don't know if it was done on purpose. My guess is this is an accidental buff because Ties Bind was already really good and I don't think this buff was needed at all. So we're using the same build with the same level 7 weapon. If we shoot, as you can see, we show numbers, photo mode, we do 20, and before we were doing 17, but this time around we're doing 122 damage. The reason is because, of course, instead of 17.5, we multiplied that by 7, which is the 600% increase that we're getting from Mayhem 10, and it's 122.5, which is what you see here. If you want to know the full calculation, well, it's basically 20 multiplied by 0.35 because Ties Bind shares 35% of this damage. Then you multiply that by the multiplier of shock against shields, which is 2.5, and finally apply the 600% increase that we're getting. So, as you can see, Ties Bind received the action skill damage buff to scale with Mayhem levels, and I honestly, like I said, think this was a mistake. I don't think they meant to buff it, because the whole point of not allowing these skills to be increased with action skill damage bonuses was to nerf it, right? And also to not allow it to double dip into certain skills. However, that's exactly what I want to talk about next. Double dipping. According to them, these changes were made so that these 3 skills do no longer double dip into certain skills or anointments. But after a simple test, I can show you that double dipping is still happening. And the test that I'm going to show you in this video is Ties Bind double dipping into the 300 over 90 anointment. Now this weapon is the Duke and it says it does 14k damage, but in fact it has 2 damages, the initial one for the impact and the explosion. The explosion does the 14k, but the impact does 3570. I have already tested it, so just keep that in mind. And now, Ties Bind is going to double dip into this anointment, and that's what I want to show you because that's not supposed to be happening according to the patch notes. So we're going to grab an enemy, shoot him, and in photo mode, it says that we're doing 16k on our body shot, and then the transfer does 402,000. We are on Mayhem 10, so let me show you how these numbers are gotten. First off, we have the 3,570 damage that the Duke is doing on impact. Then I am getting a 15% damage increase from one of my skills in the red tree. And then we're getting the 300% over 90 anointment, giving us a 300% increase in damage, which gives me 16,422 damage, which is right here. And then, with Ties Bind, 35% of that damage is sent over. So we multiply by 0.35 and then multiply by 7 because remember, Mayhem 10 we get a 600% increase in damage, which gives us 40,233.9. And now remember how this 16k already includes the 300% increase from our anointment? Well, this is where the double dipping comes in. Ties Bind still double dips into that anointment as long as these enemies are above 90% HP. So we multiply by 4, which is the double dip taking place, giving us 160,935.6. And finally, this is converted to shock, so against shields we add another multiplier of 2.5, which gives us this number right here, 402,000. So hey guys, that is basically proof that double dipping is still taking place. I also checked out the other 2 skills, which are Remnant and Indiscriminate. They're still double dipping in the same things they were double dipping before. And shout out to Lone Masterino and oh yes 10fps. I was talking to them about this on Discord while I was working on it, and we were both giving each other feedback back and forth, talking about these changes. So there you go guys. Indiscriminate, Remnant, and Ties Bind will no longer receive bonuses from Do Harm or the action skill bonus from the class mod. However, they still received the 600% increase bonus for the Mayhem 10 scaling, and they're still double dipping into the skills and anointments that they were before. So I have no idea what these changes are for. I think they might have had a few mistakes here and there because I don't think this was their intention. I don't think the nerf was intended to give a 16k to body shot, transferring 402,000. That's just ridiculous. Ties of Bind is even better than it was. As far as I know, if they're gonna make Do Harm and not give you a bonus, this is way more than Do Harm used to give you. That 600% increase is absolutely insane. But anyways guys, that's going to be it for the video. Let me know what you guys think about this. I do read every single comment, so just leave your thoughts in the comments below. So anyways, that's going to do it for today. If you guys found this informative or helpful in any way, a like rating is always appreciated. And if you want to subscribe for more content like this, that'll be awesome as well. Have an awesome rest of your day, and I will see you guys on the next one. Peace out.